Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for tuning in for your statewide noon news. I'm Aja Goare. Our top story today, Hurricane Irma is devastating small islands as it barrels through the Caribbean on its way to the Florida coast. The deadly Category 5 storm is still days away from the U.S. mainland. CBS's Meg Oliver has more from Miami.
Puerto Rico dodged a direct hit from Irma. The storm's eye, with 180-mile-an-hour winds, passed just to the northeast, toppling trees and power lines. Nearly 1 million people are without electricity. This man and his family rode out the storm in their hotel.
I could only imagine what the little houses by the coast and the little villages must be like right now. So our prayers and thoughts with all of the families.
Officials are still trying to get a grip on the extent of the devastation across the Caribbean. Most structures on Barbuda are destroyed. In St. Martin, winds damaged homes and hotels and tossed shipping containers. Irma is still days from reaching the U.S. mainland. Forecasters aren't sure where it will make landfall.
Somewhere around Cuba, it starts this turn to the north. Anywhere within this cone is the possibility for a landfall.
Mandatory evacuations are now underway in Miami Beach. Storm surge is the main concern. Most of this area is just 3 feet above sea level.
We're not going to be able to save people once the storm hits.
Frenzied residents are grabbing water as fast as they can and picking store shelves clean. Gas stations are also running out of fuel. A steady stream of traffic is pressing northward, and people are crowding Miami's airport trying to get out before it's too late. Meg Oliver, CBS News, Miami Beach.
Irma is blamed for at least 10 deaths. That number is expected to rise. Here in Montana, more than 1 million acres of Montana is on fire, making this the state's third largest wildfire season in more than 2 decades. In Glacier National Park, heavy smoke diminished air quality but helped slow the growth of the Sprague fire. The lightning-caused blaze is now more than 13,000 acres. Firefighters installed hose lays and sprinklers in the Avalanche Creek campground, and a similar system is being set up in the North McDonald Lake area. The evacuation order issued Sunday remains in effect from the south end of Lake McDonald north to Logan Pass. The order does not include the Apgar area, and Logan Pass is still accessible from the east side of the park. Heavy smoke at the Rice Ridge Fire in Seeley Lake helped suppress the fire on Wednesday, but it did prevent the use of aircrafts. Today, fire bosses expect that smoke to lift, meaning increased fire activity. Crews are assessing structures around Placid Lake west of Seeley Lake to prepare in case the 23,000-acre Liberty Fire creeps over. The situation remains unstable as the Rice Ridge Fire rages on just over the hills from hundreds of homes. The blaze is nearly 121,000 acres with just 5% containment. The Alice Creek Fire near Augusta grew an additional 322 acres overnight. The fire is now more than 22,000 acres, and today's forecast could bring more fire growth. There is still 0% containment. At least 4 cabins have been destroyed. Montana's 2 U.S. senators both expressed concern about these fires on the Senate floor Wednesday, but their messages are very different. Republican Senator Steve Daines says preventing wildfires is impossible, but he argued poor forest management has caused more widespread fires in Montana. Daines urged Congress to take steps to stop what he called frivolous lawsuits that he says prevent logging and other prudent management of forest lands. Democratic Senator John Tester argued Congress is ignoring climate change, which is leading to historic drought and severe fires in Montana and across the West. He added that as Congress approves aid for victims of Hurricane Harvey, Montanans and others impacted by widespread fires this year shouldn't be forgotten. A Red Cross emergency response vehicle loaded with food, water, blankets, and hygiene kits is bringing aid to those affected by wildfires in Seeley Lake. The vehicle, which resembles an ambulance, arrived in Missoula from Billings on Tuesday. The Red Cross, Albertsons, the Montana Food Bank Network, and the Missoula Food Bank are teaming up to keep the emergency vehicle stocked. Red Cross volunteers Sherilyn Hamilton of Roundup and Kent J. of Hardin are staffing the vehicle. We turn now to the weather scene with Rob Griggs. And Rob, it's still smoky and dry out there.
It sure is. You know, we're already into September and there really isn't a whole lot of relief on the horizon right now. And for our friends out in western Montana, Aye, aye, aye. Our hearts are with you. I mean, it's just dry and smoky and can be a little depressing. I know the map right now shows plenty of sunshine. You don't really see it though in Missoula or Kalispell right now. It's not cloudy, it's smoky. Otherwise, skies are clear and temperatures are warming up nicely. This is a picture right now, speaking of Missoula. Yeah, it looks like it's snowing, doesn't it? Oh, I wish. Don't you wish it was snowing? 65 right now. It's warmed up a few degrees, but that's not cloud cover. That is smoke. And the winds are calm, which means nothing's happening. Out in eastern Montana, a little brighter picture. 73 degrees in the Billings area with a light south wind. You can actually see the sky across the plains. We'll take a complete look at what that extended forecast looks like in just a moment. Asia?
Thanks, Rob. We'll check back in. An investigation is underway in Missoula today after a pedestrian was hit and killed by a car while crossing the road early this morning. Police say 2 pedestrians were crossing at the intersection of South Avenue and Reserve Street around 4:45 a.m. when one of the pedestrians was struck by a car. The victim, a man in his 30s, was killed by the impact. Authorities say the male driver of the car is cooperating with the investigation. Montana Highway Patrol is assisting. The victim's name has not been released. Authorities are trying to determine what caused a small plane to go down in Teton County last night. The crash landing happened around 8:30 p.m. near Fairfield, somewhere along Highway 89. Fortunately, the pilot, who was the only one on board, received minor injuries. We're told the Cessna crashed on a secondary road just outside of town. The plane is registered to Richard Finley Jr. of Idaho. We do not know yet if Finley was piloting the plane. The victim of an assault in Great Falls on Tuesday has been declared brain dead. The victim's identity has not been released, but Darian Douglas was charged on Wednesday with aggravated assault. Prosecutors noted additional charges may be filed given the victim's new condition. The incident occurred at a residence near Longfellow Elementary School at the intersection of 7th Avenue South and 12th Street. Douglas told police he and the victim got into a fight after drinking. He called the fight mutual. Douglas said that the other man hit him first, breaking his nose and chipping his tooth. He said he then kicked the victim in the face, knocking him out. Douglas then allegedly told police he repeatedly punched, elbowed, and kneed the victim in the face. Bond is set at $75,000. Nearly 5,000 Montana state employees got an unexpected payroll deposit last week, but that payment was an error, and that deposit is now being reversed. The state and U.S. Bank are preparing a new direct deposit method for state employee payroll checks. But last Thursday, instead of an intended test run, U.S. Bank mistakenly sent payments to the accounts of 4,800 employees. State officials say the mistake occurred because of a miscommunication between technical staff for the state and the bank. The state says it's discovered the mistake almost immediately and notified employees. Since then, U.S. Bank has been retrieving the money from the various employees' personal bank accounts that received it. Before we get to break, the search for the next leader of the University of Montana is down to 4 finalists, none from Montana. Mirta Martin serves as senior education advisor to former Mexican President Vicente Fox. She has over 30 years of experience in higher education, banking, advising, and consulting. Andrew Feinstein is the provost and senior vice president for academic affairs at San Jose State University. Seth Bodnar is a senior executive at General Electric Company. And Charles Ambrose has been president of the University of Central Missouri since 2010. The Board of Regents is expected to select UM's new president later this fall. Still ahead on the noon news, a potential agreement reached in funding for the government, and Hurricane Harvey relief stuns the GOP. Details next. But first, Rob has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching